Start with Dave, who's got the first question. We'll start with JP right here.
Dave, you guys managed to scratch across a couple runs against Price, and then the bats really went dead from there. What were you seeing as far as the plate appearances went?
I thought the compete was there. You know, you got to give credit to Price. He made pitches when he needed to. We had him on the ropes. I thought that early on we stressed him. We had some situational at bats, got some base runners, took our walks. And the difference is they got the big hit when they needed, we didn't.
And the second round, you're like Dylan.
Dave, the fifth inning there, when you pulled Rio, you know, I know Madsen's kind of been that guy for you coming in those types of situations, but given how much he's been used, given what happened yesterday, did you consider any alternatives, specifically Baez, and maybe could you kind of take me through why he decided to go with Madsen?
Madsen's been our guy for quite some time, and he's pitched out of big spots there. The usage right there, I'm not worried about that. He's fresh. He pitched yesterday, didn't throw too many pitches. Had a couple days off coming into the series. Have an off day tomorrow, so that part of it was pretty easy, and I just felt I really liked him against Pierce, and in that spot he's done it time and time again for us. The last couple nights it hasn't worked out. The walk, very uncharacteristic, and he gave a flare single to Martinez.
Stay right there, Ron.
In retrospect, do you think outfield too deep on Martinez on the flare, and what was going on with the ball boys? It looked like they were giving him defensive chart during the pitching change.
I'm not aware of the ball boy given whatever he was delivering, but I think that with the Martinez ball, even if he was in, it's going to drop in. So it's 2 out. They're running on contact, and you got to still respect JD's power. But I thought it was an executed pitch that he just got enough of it to muscle it out to the outfield. So I don't think the outfield depth really played a factor in that.
The second row on the aisle.
Well, Dave, the club has been in this kind of situation before throughout the season. You know, you win a few, you drop a few. This just happens to be the World Series. Leaving Boston, what's the mentality, and how do you approach the next games, which you obviously have to win?
We do. We got to find a way to win a baseball game. I think coming in here, I thought we play these guys pretty straight up. Obviously, we come out of here going home down 2-0, but they made pitches when they needed to, and when we stressed them, they made the pitch, and then when it flipped, they got the hit, and we didn't, and that's kind of the difference in tonight's game. But I think as far as ball club talent, you can kind of look at the pitching, the offense. We're not swinging the bats well right now. That's obvious. But I think getting home, seeing their guys in the pen, I think we'll be ready on for Game 3.
Right in front, Darren.
Dave, knowing how proficient they are with 2 outs, did you consider giving Ryu a quicker hook after he gave up that single to Vasquez?
No, I didn't. You know, he had Vasquez 1 and 2. He gives up a base hit on a backdoor cutter, I think, and with Mookie right there, gives up a ground ball base hit. And I thought he was in control the entire night. I thought he was executing. And Benintendi put a good at bat on him and earned a walk. But for me, right there, you know, I have a decision to make to give Rue a chance to get out of that spot and face Pierce, or go with the guy that I know matches up really well. Hasn't seen much of him. Saw him the night prior. But I just felt that, again, Madsen was the right guy to get us out of that. And that was the difference in the game, right there. And, you know, you talk about things before the game happens, and I just felt, again, Madsen was the right guy in that spot.
Jesse in the right center aisle.
Given the circumstances, and as you mentioned, the offense is struggling a little bit, is there any thought about, you know, shuffling the lineup or kind of mixing it up to especially at the top, to kind of generate some offense?
Well, when game 3, it's going to be a different lineup. I assume we're going to see Porcello, and so it'll be different right there. But as far as at the top, Justin Turner's been at the top, 2nd or 3rd all year long, and there's no reason to move him. And I think Brian Dozier against the lefty, these first 2 games, I thought his at-bat quality was pretty good. And so now you're looking at Manny, who I think has had some good at-bats, and David Freese in the 3. I think he's probably had our best at-bats, top to bottom, in these first 2 games. But we're going to shuffle it up for game 3, but it's not because of necessarily performance. It's kind of who the starting pitcher for those guys is. But these are the guys that got us here, and we're going to ride them out.
Do 3 more. Joel in the back center.
Dave, because the games aren't part of the long season anymore and at a premium, and Madsen had a bad night last night, did you think about getting anyone hot behind them so when he had what you even called an uncharacteristic walk, you at least would have had an option if you didn't like what you were seeing for the next batter?
I think to get a guy that has pitched in 4 World Series and has performed all postseason for us, to have a bad night prior, to then have someone behind them, another right-hander, almost protecting yourself against him not being able to throw a strike. He shouldn't be in the game anyway. So when you've got a couple right-handers that he's going to face, you feel confident that he can go out there and get those guys. So if I had any thought to have Baez or somebody behind him, then he was the wrong guy.
Do 2 more. Tyler on the right too.
Dave, in any way do the Red Sox remind you of what Houston was able to do last year in terms of their lineup, just being able to string together quality at-bats and singles and doubles and walks or anything? And what is the biggest challenge that you've seen from the Red Sox these 2 games?
Well, it's a good lineup. It's a good lineup, but I think that I'm not going to make too much into 2 games in the sense that the difference is they got a big hit when they needed it. And I think that we've had opportunities to do the same thing. We've done the same thing. We didn't get the hits that they got, but we had base runners. And the difference is they got a couple hits with runners in scoring position, and we didn't. And so now we're down 0-2. But it's a good offensive club. They've been a good offensive club all year. And last year, Houston, this year, Houston, same thing. They're both very comparable as far as very offensive, yeah.
Last one for Dave. We'll finish up with Bradford right here.
Dave, it's hard not to notice when you have the first 2 games of a World Series and your top 4 home run hitters, because of the matchups, start off on the bench. And I know you were asked this before the game, but now that the game has played out, did you see what you wanted out of the right-handers at the beginning of the game?
David Freese, I think that he's done everything we've asked of him. I think Brian Dozier, the quality has been there. I don't think the results. He's got a couple walks in these first 2 games, and this is 2 games, and obviously it's magnified as the World Series, but it's still 2 separate baseball games. I think that Taylor and Hernandez didn't swing the bat well these 2 games. I think CT's had a really good postseason, but it's hard to have guys that slug that, Peterson, Muncy, Bellinger on the bench. But this is something that we've done a lot in September and throughout the postseason, and it's proved to be successful. So, and those guys are still getting in games and staying current. But again, when guys are in there, they've just got to be productive. So we got a lot of good players, and we got a long way to go.
Dave, we'll see you at Dodger Stadium.
All right, thanks, guys.